just about to say the tea at the Blue Nile is great. It's the cinnamon one. Yeah, it's good. Danielle said, but wait, I didn't know Pastors Gone Wild was on tonight. Oh yeah, they about to go wild. They going wild real soon. Um, Bobby said all of them. Right. All right. So moving on to the next topic. I can't wait with the pastor, but you ain't got to wait because we here. We here. All right. So here we go. Next subject. No, we're not. That's not. That's at the end. We're going to who the hell is your baby daddy? Who the hell is your baby daddy? And that came to me. That was a suggestion from Miss Tracy from Cincinnati. Sent me this earlier this week. Who the hell is your baby daddy? Or who the hell is your baby mama? Either or. But what prompted this discussion is this article. I'm gonna have to read it to you. It's not very long, but I'm gonna have to read it to you because I can't do it no justice. And this happened just a few days ago, October 8th. So we're not talking about it a long way back, all right? October 8th. Child. So let me ask you this first. Here's a question, and then I'll read the piece. When you think, and I want you all to type what you get, what you come up with in the chat while I prepare to read this piece or while I'm reading the piece. But here's a question. When you think of a baby daddy or a co-parent, or so baby daddy, baby mama, and it could be your husband, the only reason I said baby daddy to begin is because of the case I'm about to talk about, right? When you think of a co-parent, leave it at that. What traits or what kinds of adjectives come to mind? When you think of or you imagine a co-parent, what traits or what adjectives come to mind? If you all would type some of that in the chat, that'd be great. What comes to mind when you think of, when you think of a person that you want to father or you want to co-parent with, you want to have a child with, or you want to consider, or you might consider having a child with, what traits are you looking for? What kinds of things would you want this man or this woman to have in order to be the parent of your child, the co-parent of your child? Just type those in the chat. I'm going to freshen up my cup. And we're going to get started. What adjectives, what things come to mind? What do you think of when you think of the kind of person that you want to, or you're willing to, or you'd like to co-parent with? Some of you may already have children. In that case, what kinds of things do your what adjectives with your what adjectives do your co-parent have that you like, that you appreciate, that are expedient for raising children? And while you think about that, I'm going to go ahead and start reading this case. Las Vegas man arrested after refusing to break window on his car to save one-year-old daughter's life. Sidney Deal, 27, of Las Vegas, was arrested after leaving his now deceased one-year-old daughter in a hot car for possibly over an hour. This is from the Post-Millennial. Sidney Deal, 27, of Las Vegas, was arrested after leaving his now deceased one-year-old daughter in a hot car for possibly over 1 hour. Deal didn't want to break the window to save his daughter, Saya Deal, and refused help several times, saying he didn't have the money to fix a broken window or call a tow truck. So according to the New York Post, local police detectives interviewed Deal's brother, who told him he received a call from Deal saying that Saya had been locked in the car with the keys. He mentioned during that car that the air conditioning was running, which turned out to be false. Deal's brother, wait a minute. I don't know if I read that part before. He mentioned during that car that the air conditioning was running, which turned out to be false. See, I totally missed that piece. Deal's brother, according to the interview, then went quickly to Deal's home as the phone call had worried him. Arriving at the scene, he immediately wrapped a piece of cloth around his hand to break the window, but Deal stopped him, saying he didn't have money to fix the window. He asked his brother to call his mother so that her insurance company could send a locksmith. Police also spoke with Deal's girlfriend, who told them that he also asked her to call their insurance company, but told her to hang up when they told her a tow truck wasn't covered and he considered the price to be too high. He then flagged down passing police who offered to break the window, call a tow truck, or get a locksmith, but he refused all three options. Police at this time apparently decided that the child's welfare was potentially at risk and broke the window. They pulled the child out of the car, but it was too late. She died at the scene. Deal is now facing charges and being held on bail at the Clark County Detention Center. So that story prompted the question, who the hell is your baby daddy? Who have you chosen? Who have you chosen to be the father of your child? Let me read some of what y'all. Yeah, right. Constant. Oh my fucking God. Exactly. This is just October 8th. This wasn't no long time ago. I wish I could share my screen, but I'm gonna show you a picture of the guy. If you all can see that. You see that picture? Yeah, that's a pretty good picture. You can see that. And you can see the baby right there, right? Or at least a part of her. So let me read some of this right here. Tracy said, I think she was saying irresponsible. I believe she was saying. Corey said, I'm grateful for having a great co-parent. If we didn't do anything else right, we did our best and worked together to give our now 22-year-old the tools to be a productive citizen and a responsible man. Tracy said, unselfish. Robbie said, possibly autistic. And Kai said, oh my fucking God. Okay, so Robbie, tell me more about that. You think the man was probably autistic? That's interesting. I didn't think about that. To tell me more about that. Is that because the fact that he was tripping about that window? Is that what makes you say that? Sharice, I just got your message. Okay, I'm glad to know you in the thing. Kai says, so sad, but this is what some women run to, the materialistic type of man that thinks only about the car. Exactly. Which is why Corey said that dude is a chump. It's nothing new and didn't surface when that's what I'm saying, when he's allowed to his baby to die. Right. You all are thinking what I'm thinking, and that is there had to be some. This wasn't a sign of selfish. It couldn't have been. That's why I'm asking you all about traits. How about we lock him in the car? Danielle said, right, in Nevada heat and leave him in there. Exactly. Tracy said, baby, listen. What in the world? When I saw this, I think Tracy sent it to me by text first. She texted me and said, take a look, or sent me the link or whatever. I looked at that. I was in the bathroom sitting on a toilet, like, mouth just hanging up because I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it when I first read it. I thought, and I kept thinking, what could he have been thinking? What is going on? And the first thing that came to me was exactly what you two mentioned, Kai and Corey, and that is his selfishness. And when they talked about the different people that showed up to assist him, and he kept going back to, I don't want to break my car window. I said, this guy doesn't even have the capacity to think about his child's life more than he can think about that window, that his new car. So I thought, anybody that selfish didn't become that selfish today. There had to be signs. There had to be some indicators that this guy wasn't capable of loving or of caring for someone, right? Let me read some of this. Let me go back to Kai says, so sad, but this is what some women run to the materialistic type of man. I want to say that again because I had to. That thinks only about his car. Robbie said he's slow in some kind of way, whether he's been diagnosed or not. Okay, that's interesting. Danielle said, "How about okay? Okay. All right. So I'm repeating. I just realized that Kai said, which probably only goes to certain places, can't be with certain types, and won't do certain things. Robbie says because he was so very rigid. That's what makes her think of okay. Oh, and Kai is talking to the same question I had about autism. Okay. My great nephew is autistic. Okay. This is so disturbing. Kai said, I am shaking right now. That's how I was. I couldn't get off the toilet. Tracy said he's just selfish flat out. That's how I saw it, Tracy. I didn't think about any underlying other than selfishness for me. I thought that's what I saw as a driving factor. Um, but Robbie and Kai are on something different. I didn't think about that. Kai said, because truth be told, and I know firsthand, people change so much after separation. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Corey said everybody who was on that scene while that baby was alive needs to be held accountable. I agree with that. He would be mad at me. I agree with that. Robbie said some people just don't have the capacity to think. Hmm. I bet there's something wrong with him. Oh, there's clearly something wrong with him. Yeah, there's something wrong with him. That's for sure. Is there something wrong with him, a mental issue, or is there something wrong with him, the just the lack of the ability to care? Just a sociopath. But I guess that's something wrong with it too. Tracy said, "Can we just talk about Mama standing there, baby?" Kai said they're so busy trying to prove shit to BM if they don't. I don't know what BM means. Tell me what that means. They don't think past themselves. Robbie said there's lots of handsome people who have problems. Yes, indeed. There's definitely a mental or emotional issue at work. Absolutely. They look normal, but they aren't. Absolutely. His family is probably slower off too. This is what okay, so to that piece, baby mama. That's what I thought earlier when I read this. I thought that's what made me come up with this idea about indicators. What can we, because I mentioned this earlier. Crazy don't look like it looked when I was young. When I was young, we could walk down the street and the people that were considered crazy, or you knew the people that had mental issues because it was the middle of summer and they had on 5, 6 coats and 3 hats and a pair of a boot on one leg and a shoe on the other. There was a lot of reasons, a lot of stuff, that lets my father was mentally ill. So there we knew that he was headed on his manic route when we saw him walking through the house with a shirt on, a tie, a 10-gallon hat, and no pants. His underwear. We knew then. We know. Oh, he's on his way. He's on his way. You could see it. It was very clear, right? But nowadays, that is not the case. There's so many people, I think, with mental and emotional problems that are not being treated. That we're all in here, we're just all around here together without treatment, right? And so this is what you get, right? This is what you get behind some of that stuff. Okay, let me go back. Danielle said it didn't sound like the mother was there. It sounded like she had called. I'll go back and look at it in a second. It didn't sound like the mother was there. Says she called his girlfriend, right? A lack of empathy is a sign of several psychological problems. That's good. Corey said we excuse people's behavior that are crazy enough to procreate. Yeah, they're crazy enough to procreate with him. He displayed inconsistencies long before now. Yes. Or did she have some issues? I don't know. Robbie said you really need to know who you have kids by. That's the bottom line. You done shut it down, Robbie. That's it. You really need to know. They can look very normal. Absolutely. Exactly. Okay, nigga. You got a Benz. Do you have a common ass sense? Exactly. So then I thought, which is why I asked y'all, and I'm about to ask y'all again. There gotta be some indicators because here's the thing. These babies are out here looking for, Lord have mercy. These babies are out here looking for or being sought after by some of these types we're talking about right now. So give me a list. Let's put together a list of, or maybe I was going to say a list of attributes that you should be looking for. I'm going to share it with some young girls, starting with the ones I got at home. I'm going to share it with some girls. What attributes? That's good. Give me 10 attributes that you should look for when you are considering procreating with somebody, or when you're considering not even procreating, when you're considering being serious with somebody, because anyone that you're serious with could turn into somebody you procreate with. It could turn into procreation even if you ain't serious. So anyone you're serious with, let's say 10 things, 10 attributes that you should look for when you are looking for a mate, which could possibly turn into a co-parent. Y'all help me create that list, please. And I'm going to read while you all are doing that. Robbie said right. Robbie said no treatment. Robbie said Governor Engler closed most of the mental health. Sure did. And folks are just out there. I thought about that earlier too. That's right. That's right, Robbie. That's right. We're seeing the effects of that. Danielle said today mental illness is dressed in Brooks. Sure is Brooks Brothers or in the Oval Office. Right. Right. Or in the Oval Office. Absolutely. Corey said all this unprotected sex, no idea how to be in relationships, half raised and having babies that get half raised. That's right. Sometimes both parents, Robbie says, are off. They meet in facilities or in a group settings. Oh, Robbie. I guess that's true. I guess that's true. So my question to you is, I think I have other questions. I want y'all stay and answer my question though. Give me some attributes. I want to share them with some girls. But I think I had a couple other questions. Oh no, that's over to the pastors. Let me go back. So, like for instance, one that I think, he needs to be attentive. He's got to be attentive. If he's not attentive to you, then that's a problem. He needs to be attentive. That's one thing that I think girls should be looking for. When you're looking for a possible mate, you need to look for someone who's attentive. Let's see. Oh, okay, yeah. So here's the thing that I thought about, which I know seems a little wild, but I know that young people are out here in the dark, stabbing in the dark, trying to figure it out. I do know that, and I know that the pickings are slim. This guy, I'm about to call him something else. I don't know what the situation is, but Sidney Deal is a perfect example of the fact that the pickings are slim, right? Super slim. So consider this. Is there a way? Is there a place for it? Should there maybe a place that we should revisit arranged marriages in our culture? I'm throwing that out there. What do y'all think about that? Should we maybe even consider arranged marriages in this culture? Let me know what you think about that. Let's see. Let me go back. Okay, you all are giving me information now. So Robbie said all you have to do is sit, wait, and pay attention to cues. And I think the operative word here is wait. You're right, because if you wait, you're gonna see. But they too in a hurry. So okay, so the first one thing is I'm gonna start writing them in here. Okay, so one is patience. Gotta have patience. Two, I'm going to say look for attentiveness. Let me go back and read the rest of what Robbie said. Sit and wait and pay attention to cues. Folks ignore what they see. My Angelou told us a long time ago, believe what people say they are. That's good. Kai said, to be honest, Vicky, like your last example shows, it is so hard. Book does not make common sense. Broke don't make a bad dad. All I can say is ask for spiritual discernment. All right. Uh, so ask for, can I say, let's see, seek. I'm going to say seek God's voice / discernment. Is that all right, Kai? Let's see. And that's a part of waiting. That goes back to that whole wait piece, which is interesting. I'm going to come back there. I want to say something about that. Robbie said, ask why did they break up with the last girlfriend? Okay. So this is probably not a trait, but I'm going to ask this. Be open to open to research. You got to research people, right? Be open to research. Let's see. Robbie said, ask why. Okay, right. Okay. And Trace said, your girls should look at their parents, Vicky. Yeah, but you know how it is with children. They always think that what they have at home is just, it's all, you know how that is. That's just how, that's the beast of teenagers. They think that everything is great on the outside. Everything that they can't put their hand on is better than what they have until they get out there. And then you say, oh, and you realize what you had at home was the best thing you ever had. Danielle said, right. Maya said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Absolutely. Robbie says you have to watch them, be attentive to them. Much tentative to much can be possessed. That's a good point. Too much attention could be possessiveness. That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a very good point. You're right. So they need to be attentive, but not overbearing, right? That's the best way I can think to put it, unless you all can tell me something else. So I'm gonna go back to A. They can be look for be attentive, but not possessive. That's good. That's good. Corey said protector, provider. There's a bunch of them right here. I'm just gonna copy and paste. Protector, provider, logical, reasonable, sense of humor, kind, attractive, attentive, I'm sorry. Dependable. That's a good one. Effective communicator. Oh, that's good. Confident, always learning and growing. Copy and paste. All of that. All of that. Listen to them, watch them, listen to them. Absolutely. Okay. So here's the thing I was going to say a little earlier too. Something Kai said to remind me of this. The whole thing about waiting and listening. Robbie said something about it too. That whole waiting and listening piece. Here's the other thing about in terms of women. Let me just say this. And some of you who have done the Wonder Woman breakfast and stuff with me know that this is how I feel about this. I do think too that women, not that God don't speak to men, because we know that he speaks to men. But I do think a lot of men don't realize that God speaks to women more than he speaks to men. I believe that. I do. You can't convince me otherwise. I think that we have a special connection, a special road, a special link, right? To hear the voice of God. I believe that. I believe it. I believe that we have the ability to hear the voice of God more clearly than a man does innately, that you're born with it. Now, we also the ones who will ignore it more than anybody else, especially when it comes to love affair. When it comes to affairs of love and affairs of the heart, we will oftentimes not pay attention to that still small voice that really is God speaking to you, which is why our mothers used to say to us, go with your first mind, because really that's your God mind. Go with your first mind, stop second thinking. And whenever you're in relationship, whenever you're in, this is my personal experience, and I'll tell anybody until I find out something different. And at 50, I haven't yet. Whatever that still small voice is telling you that you hear when you are not busied and running and moving around, but you are sitting, like Robbie said, and listening, and Kai saying and asking for discernment. When you're doing that, and you're doing that on a regular basis, you need to do it more than whenever you're in a relationship. Whenever you go in a relationship with somebody, you need to really start doing that, right? God will give you the information that you need. He speaks to us. He tells us what we need to know. But sometimes we're so caught up in functioning below the belt that we don't hear what we drown out what he's saying so that we can have what we want. And then when you have what you want, you find out you're in a zoo. And you like, how the hell did I get here? You got here because you don't listen to shit. That's how you got there. Because he was telling you, or she was telling you, God was telling you long ago in your thinking place. When you were in your thinking place, don't move so fast on this. Watch him over there. When you see him do such and such and such, pay attention. When you hear them do this or that, pay attention. But again, we get caught up in functioning below the belt instead of listening here, because really it's here. If we do that, we will be amazed at how far we could be in our lives, because God will speak to you directly. He will speak to you directly concerning whatever it is that you need to hear about. That's my experience. I don't want to get into too much of that. But I'll tell you this, though. I am really considering putting together a curriculum. I really am. A curriculum of strategies and lessons to teach women how to hear the voice of God, because they already hear how to recognize it, and then how to have the courage to follow it, to go along with that, because it's one thing to hear it. That's my prayer. When I pray every day, when I pray about this, I always say, Lord, give me the ability to hear your voice and the courage to move accordingly, because we'll hear it, but don't have the courage. You're fearful, or for whatever you don't move because you want to do your own thing, or you're scared to do his thing or her thing, whichever. All right, I'm getting off. Let me go back and read some of this. Robbie said all of that to the protector, provider, logical, reasonable, sense of humor, so on and so forth. Robbie says women need to get advice from other men about men and stop listening to women about men. That's good. Whoo, that'll preach all by itself. That'll preach all by itself. Let me say this though, Robbie, although I think this is great. You're absolutely right. I think you're right. It's hard though, or while you're doing this, because I think that women need to do that. Women need to do this with men who see them as a sister or a mentee or something of that sort. Because when you're having these kind of conversations, these deep-rooted feeling type, emotional type conversations with men, if you're not careful, it'll move into something else, either from his direction or yours. Right? So I think you're right. I think that big brother should be able to give you this kind of information. Or if your father's open enough to have this kind of conversation with you, I think you're right. Or if you have uncles that are open enough to get this kind of conversation to you, I think you're right. That we could learn a lot more about men from men than we ever could from women. I think you're right about that. Tracy said, pay attention to how a man feels about his mother. Huge clue. Very good. Very good. I agree with you, Tracy. I think that's a very good answer. Danielle said, check his priorities, his goals, and how he treats other people. Absolutely. How you treat people who can do nothing for you is an indicator of character. Oh, that will preach. That will preach. That will preach. She said, I got goose pimples when I read that. How you treat people who can do nothing for you is a great indicator of character. I think that should be, you know what? I'm gonna copy and paste this just so that everybody can see it again. Yes. Oh, said, said Danielle. I want to make sure I give you your credit. You all do me a favor, please share the stream, like the video. It always helps if you like and share and comment. And you all are doing plenty of commenting, so I appreciate that. But do me a favor, like and share, like and share. It helps with building the platform. Thank you very much. Okay, let me go back and see what else. Let me see. Oh, that was good. That was good, Danielle. That was good. Yes, that still small voice, Robbie said. Kai said, exactly. Robbie said, if he's bad mouthing his ex, that's good. That's good. And blaming her for everything, stay away. It's always two sides. If he's blaming her, he doesn't take responsibility for his part in the breakup. That is good. That's grown folk. That's good. That's grown woman information right there. That's grown woman shit right there. That's the truth right there. That is the truth. My mother used to say, if a dog, and she would say it about other conversations, but it would ring true in this situation too. She said, if a dog will bring a bone, if he bring a bone, he'll take a bone. So my point is, if he come to you bad mouthing her, you can just believe that when he leave you or when he ain't in your presence, he bad mouthing you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Danielle said, yes, 3 exclamation points. Corey, that's a word. Vicky, we get caught up in loneliness, desperation, yeah, and lust caused by low self-esteem and worthlessness. Absolutely. And that is what drives us to people like Sidney Deal. Right. That's why I do think that support groups, women's support groups are really important. I do believe that. Because when you don't, because our society tells us in so many ways that you are of less worth if you don't have a man in your life. We see it in movies, we see it, and don't go to church. Because if you in church, how many, I remember when I was single and I was in the church that I basically was raised in. And I didn't get married till later. I didn't get married to, I had Zoe at 34. I got married 2 years after I had Zoe. So I got married at 36. And I remember that up until then, you go to church and it's almost like they taunting you. Like they taunt you with not having a mate. So everything was the couples retreat, the couples this and the couples that, and pastor and his beautiful wife, and so and her and his beautiful wife. They didn't ask us whether or not they was beautiful, because half the time they wasn't beautiful. I'm just gonna say that. Let me just say that. Half the time they wasn't beautiful at all. Right. But that's what's said. The man of God. And what the fuck is a man? What's a man? Have y'all heard that? I got so sick and tired of hearing that. The man of God. What the fuck is a man? Does everybody need an English language class? I don't understand why you keep saying man. What is that? Okay. I'm sorry. So anyway, it's almost like they would taunt single people because they weren't, so I'm saying all that to say, we keep that all over our society. So it tells us that if you don't have a husband, you really ain't there yet. You really, God, I'm gonna be praying for you, which is not the case, which is why I really, really, really think that it's important. The sister circle is important. The sister circle is necessary because, and here's the other thing too. There is a place that a woman can support you that no man can ever support you. There's a place that I don't care who he is. I don't care I don't care how thick his rod is. There is a place of support. There's a place of comfort. There's a place of nurturing that a man will never be able to give you. He just won't. But if you go to them sisters, they're going to be able to upgird you, give you what you need so that you can exhale, pick yourself up, and go a little further. It reminds me of, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go to your comments, but it reminds me of, that scene in, it's one of my favorite scenes, really. You remember that scene in Fences when she finds out that her husband has had an affair and had his baby on her. And first of all, when Viola Davis, I'm talking about the movie now, when Viola Davis do that knee buckle thing, I said, jeez, I felt that in the pit of my stomach when I first saw it. I felt that in a pit of my stomach because I knew exactly what it felt like to get one of those messages that tell you, I know I said I love you, but really, I was more concerned about me than you. Because all of us have been there. So it could come from him having a baby on you. It could come from you finding out that he fucking somebody that you didn't, you just didn't know anything about, so you find yourself in a triangle, that kind of stuff. That stuff will knock the wind out of you. It will knock the. I remember one time I went through this situation. It was so bad. I promise you, I felt like I couldn't breathe for at least 2-3 weeks. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I wasn't breathing. Like I went through that month not really breathing. You understand what I'm saying? Because when you first get the news, it's like somebody come to you and go, oh, right in the bottom of your stomach. That's how I feel like. Oh, you don't have to. It becomes whatever comes through your ears or your vision becomes physical immediately. When she did that buckle in that kitchen, when she almost fell into the thing, I said, whoa. I almost started crying sitting at the movie. I was like, oh my God, it just brought everything back to me. But what did she do? To get her strength back and get some straight in her back, she went to the church where the women were. Wasn't a man in that church. What was there was a lot of women crowding around her, praying with her, sitting with her, walking her through, girding her through that situation. I don't know how I got there. Okay, let me see what's going on up here. Let's see. Yes, to woman support groups. That was Robbie. And then Danielle said, listen to their complaints about the ex in that he's telling you what he likes. That's good, Danielle. That's good. Don't get me started on that church stuff. We were bamboozled. What you say? Man, they're trying to sound articulate. Oh, is that what it is? And the pressure for women to have kids will drive women to pick any man as a mate, and it's a mistake. I love it, Robbie. You're absolutely right. Absolutely. Kai said, oh, shoot. Kai, you was waiting for the passion stuff. It's coming, baby. It's coming. And then Robbie says, women need to know it's okay to be single with no kids. It's okay. Right. Trust me, I'm both and just fine. It's better to be single with no kids than miserable. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Kai said, Jesus. Danielle said what Kai said. Corey says, a good girlfriend will save your life. It's the truth. It's the truth. Save your life. Give you your breath back. And I mean that. Give you your breath back. Absolutely. Whoo, okay. So wait, did we get through it? Let me see. Oh, okay. So my question was, can we help daughters or younger women not to make some of the same kinds of mistakes? How can we make the same? How can we help them not to? What did y'all think about the arranged marriage things? Let me know that, dude. Because I thought about that for the first time after looking at this shit about this guy. I said, damn, because I know what I'm seeing in the street with these kids, right? And I thought, no, should we consider should an option be, or at least an alternative, maybe to return to arranged marriages? And what I thought about when that came to me was I remember my mother and them saying that when they were dating people, and I thought it was so far fetched back then. I knew everything. I was a teenager. I was at least 15. I knew it all. I remember her saying that when they were dating, that their parents would always say, she said her father was notorious. If she say something about some little boy, she said her daddy would say, ain't that all? Ain't that all? Peanut Johnson, little boy, you talking about? Yeah, yes, sir, yes, sir. Oh no, that ain't gonna work. That boy ain't no good. He ain't no good. His daddy wasn't no good. His daddy before him was no good. He ain't gonna never be no good. Don't bring that boy around here. Don't do that. Don't do that. And she said that they always ask the same question. Who and even if they didn't know she was interested, if there was any talk about any boy, around her age, she said they would start asking, who is parents? Who is people now? Because they would determine what they thought about this kid depending on who his parents were, right? That makes perfect sense to me now. As a 15-year-old, when I knew everything, it didn't make any sense to me. Now I know that if you want to know who somebody is, you follow that leaf to the root of the tree. You understand what I'm saying? You don't need to look at the leaf of an orange tree and try to find out its roots or where it come from over at the apple tree. Because apple trees don't make orange leaves, nor do they make orange fruit. Apple trees make apples, and they make leaves of apple trees. They don't cross up. You ain't gonna ever go to an orange tree, an orange root looking for apples, because you ain't ever gonna find them there. They're never going to be there. It won't ever matter, right? It's never going to happen. Forget about it. It's not gonna happen. Please share the stream. You all help me to get other people in the room. I appreciate you. I remember this though. Let me tell you this, and I won't say the name because I know that the man is still here in Pontiac. But I heard my father. I always tell my husband this and have him cracking up laughing. But it's true though. My father was a trip. Right. I think probably the only person that I know on here that would remember my father would be Tracy. But my father was a trip. He was a trip. But I remember this time I was dating this guy. And I'm just gonna say that his name was Bill. So I remember when he was at my house, I was about 17, maybe 16, maybe 17. And Bill was at the house, and I liked Bill. I thought he was cute, right? I thought he was cute. He was kind of rough. He was kind of a bad boy. That's what I liked about him. He was kind of a bad boy. But he came by the house, and my dad came home, and Bill was there. So my daddy said, he didn't say a whole lot when he walked in the house. He looked, and he spoke to him. He said, "Hey, how you doing, Mr. Payday?" My dad's nickname was Payday, and he knew him, right? So he said, "How you doing, Mr. Payday?" My daddy said, "I'm doing all right. How you doing?" He said, "Yeah, I'm doing good." He said, "Yeah, okay." So my daddy just kind of looked at him, and then he went on in this back room, in his room, and then he came back out, and I think we may have been in the front yard. My daddy went in the room in the back of the house, and then he came back and he sat at the table in the kitchen, which would give you straight window to the front yard. And my dad came and sat at the table, and he just sat there, right? He didn't say much else. So, right, Tracy said he's a quiet man. He was a quiet man, but he was a trip, right? But he didn't say a whole lot of words. But when he said something, he meant what the fuck he said, and that's what he'll tell you too. I ain't gonna tell you this again, but I tell you what, I mean what the fuck I said, right? So when he left, I come in the house and my daddy looked at me. He said, like this, right? Like I'm looking at this computer screen. He had a small TV at the kitchen table. So he was sitting there looking at the TV like this. When I came in, he said, wasn't that Bill Johnson? I'm making the same up because I almost said his name. I said, yeah. He said, psh. My daddy looked at me. He said, if I catch Bill Johnson over here again, I'm a whoop your ass all up and down the street. I was like, he said, that motherfucker ain't no good. He said his daddy was a drunk. He said his mama was a drunk. His daddy was a convict. He said that's all the fuck he gonna be. If I catch Bill Johnson over here again, I'm whooping your ass. This is me. Let me tell you this. Bill Johnson and 70% of his siblings went to jail or prison. He ain't been too long, got out himself from doing something like a 15, 20-year stint. Spent almost all of his adult life in jail. So I thought about that today when I read this. After I read this again, because Tracy sent it to me a few days ago, which made me come to that thing. Should we consider arranged marriages? Because that's what arranged marriages are really about. Now, let me say this. My husband is Gambian. My children are half Gambian. They still do arranged marriages. We've decided that ain't going in my family, right? With my girls. And I ain't never going to have this discussion with them probably that I'm having with you. But I'm saying to you, shit like this make me consider the possibility of an arranged marriage. Because at least we will know, just like my daddy knew who that guy was. We will know by your people. We will know when we find out what root you come from. We're going to know who you are. And we'll know whether or not we want to risk ourselves with your ass. It's a thought. All right. So let me know what y'all think. I'm going to go back. I know I missed some, so I'm going to go back and get this. And y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me see. Kai said that was refreshing. Thank you for sharing. Robbie, we also have to be led by example. Absolutely. No, Kai said we have to be honest with ourselves. Corey said before we can help those coming behind us. That's true. See my comment on arrangements. My friends from countries that were miserable. I think we talked about that, Danielle, before. Now that I think about it, I remember you having some were they Israeli, I think, friends that were yeah, I remember some conversations about that. Robbie, arranged marriages, if those making the arrangements are in good relationships, that's good. There's some truth to family lines. Absolutely. They told horror stories of men and women in those marriages. The parents picked them, but they didn't really know the person. I've seen some of that too, Danielle, myself. I've seen some of that. If I considered that, it would have to be, it would have to be different. First of all, I would have to have a say. A lot of times women don't have no say. It's just what men say. First of all, I would have to have a say. And I would also want my girls to have a say. However, I would want them to, and I'm not saying we're doing this because I don't even know if I have the heart to do exactly that, but I would love to bring them to the table and say, let's look at some options. We know this kid. Do you have any interest here? Maybe, kind of, like a democratic way of doing it. But I wished, of course, every parent wished this. I would wish that they wouldn't just go get some Tom, Dick, and Harry that we don't know nothing about. Just don't know anything about, and anyway. Okay, let me go back to this. Okay, Corey said most folks aren't qualified to pick for ourselves, not to mention for anyone else. I think they may be a goal as an option, but we're not ready. I see. Kai said, "Amen." Robbie said, "It's sad to have to discriminate against a person, but most time it's true. The apple doesn't fall right." Because I used to hate that. I used to hate that idea. Apple don't fall from the tree. Now you say that ain't cool. That's not right. You can't just, because here's the other piece, Robbie. Usually, if you have a family, I've seen this a lot, where you have a family, say for instance, you have a family of big family, like the family I mentioned. There's always one. There's always one in the family that are total opposite of everybody else. Same if you have a family where, these are really, considered good kids. There's always one who's an asshole. You think, how did you get over here with them? Is he adopted? He got to be adopted. So for that kid, it's sad that they are lumped in the same, they're guilty by association. Most folks aren't qualified people. Okay, we got that one. Said to have, yeah, okay. So there's exceptions to the rule, but not often. That's what Robbie's saying right there. Quiet man, yeah, he was a quiet man. I can see his eyes right now. You big old eyes, you know when he meant that. Ooh. Can't say that part. Robbie, what is you saying? Tracy, I like the idea, but arranged marriages won't fly in my house either. Yeah, it's something to think about, especially with these girls, But no, because I'll be the same way with boys. Same way. You may not know. I had 2 friends married to men who beat them. No, that's the part. I remember that. The parents didn't know the guy was crazy because he was from a good family. Maybe arranged marriages, but with a twist. Let the kids have some input. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Robbie. That's what I'm saying. I don't know, y'all. It's interesting though. It is interesting. Let me see. Did I get all my questions asked? I think I did. Can we help that? Yeah. Should arrange marriage be visited or revisiting our culture? We did it. So, any final thoughts you have? Go ahead and put that right there. It is interesting. And I'm really thinking. I'm really gonna have to think about it. And pray about it. Because I do have girls that are coming up marrying age. I have a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old who really should be about 40, 48, really, because she's about my age and she thinks she is. But so all right. That was who the hell is your baby daddy? We done with that. We know who your baby daddy, or we know who your baby daddy ought to be, right? We're gonna help you find your baby daddy because nobody helped us. Okay, so all right, it is time for number 3. So that is Pastors Going Wild. Pastors Going Wild. Get your tea. If you need to re-up on your tea, do that. It's time right now. I'm gonna add a little more comfort that's Southern. And we're gonna move on. Do me a favor, please, and share the stream. Share the stream on wherever you can. If you can do it on Facebook, please do that for me. If you can do it on Instagram, do it for me. If you can do it on Twitter, that would be great. And make sure that you like and share. I appreciate you all. We are up to 430 people, right? So far as subscribers. So today is a good day. Today is a good day. We're on a takeoff. I plan on doing some other things with the channel. I'll discuss that with y'all later. But I just want to thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Subscribe, hit that notification button. I appreciate you. Pastors Going Wild. Robbie said, how do I share? You would go to you could go to the live stream where I assume you came in from Facebook and just share that way on your page. You can also copy the link if you're on on YouTube, and then you can do it when you're done too if it makes it easier. You can copy the link and copy and paste it. You copy it and then paste it onto another page. That's usually how I do it, and I would appreciate it. Kai, did you say what? It was your what because you don't know how to share? Is that what you're saying? Let me know. All right, I'm moving on to Pastors Going Wild while you answer that question, Kai.